Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 326 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. I'm glad you're here. And I know I say that a lot, but I really mean it. It's nice to surround ourselves with people that want to be the best version of themselves. And they're actively learning new ways to do that. So thanks for being here. And don't forget to share this podcast with others that are doing the same thing. Now, I've been doing a lot of design work lately. It's been so much fun. It just seems like the world feels right when I'm helping people create an environment that brings them joy, whether it's in their headspace like I do with my podcast or their literal space like I do with design. And both of those have a lot to do with each other. I mean, your literal space is a good indicator of where your head's at. And your headspace is deeply affected by your literal space. Like if you have a lot of clutter in your environment, it's probably pretty hard for you to relax. Or if you have a lot of negative self-talk and feelings of self-worth, that's more than likely portrayed in your environment as well, especially in your health and the way you present yourself. It's all tied together. I know I've talked about that before in episodes, but it never hurts to remember. If you want to see where your head's at, take a look around at your environment and the way you present yourself. It's not always 100% accurate, of course, but it's a good place to start. Your environment really does matter, and so does the way you present yourself to the world. We have to remember that. All right, so this last week, I drove 3 hours to meet with clients that needed design advice. They needed it quickly because they had bought a new home and wanted to put the one that they were currently in on the market immediately. And they had a contractor that was starting the next week. So they needed help and they needed it fast. Well, they'd gotten my name as someone that they could trust, so they were willing to pay for me to drive there and back. So I said, sure. All right, now we're talking about a $4 million home, so it should be top notch to go on the market. So I pull up to the home, and it is so beautiful and lovely on the outside. The landscaping is gorgeous. Neighborhood is beautiful. I walk into the home, and it was chaos, total wreck. I mean, lovely on the outside, chaos on the inside. They had bought this house sight unseen. So once they got to it and they saw it, they realized they didn't like it at all. And so they ended up never really doing anything to it, knowing that they were going to move as soon as they could find another house. Now, I didn't have this knowledge going into that. They just said they needed to know what to do to have it market ready. So after spending 4 hours walking through every inch of the space, my energy was totally zapped. Now, partially due to the chaos, my mind doesn't work real well in chaos. But I also started realizing they need a lot more help than I was going to be able to give them in one consult. And the help that they did need was really stuff I don't do, like organizing and also home staging. So my mind, when I was walking through, kept wondering and looking, like, where do they go for a respite? It's crazy in this house. But you see, that's my normal game plan, the long plan for people wanting to have a home that they love for a very long time. But that's not what they were asking for. They wanted to wash their hands of that house as soon as possible. So I gave them what they wanted, which was suggestions, paint colors, and lighting. And then I was out the door. Now, as I'm making the long drive home, I'm kind of feeling bad about the situation because they really do need so much more help. And they paid quite a bit for my consult. But then I stopped and I asked myself, okay, why are you beating yourself up? I mean, really, the only question I needed to answer is, did I do my best? And did I provide the service they asked for? The answer is absolutely yes. But I realized that I'm used to working with clients that want to make their home beautiful for their own enjoyment. All they really needed was quality answers quickly, and I gave them that. They didn't ask me for headspace help. They asked me for literal space help. And they were not in it for the long game. They wanted out. Just tell us what we need to do so we can put it on the market and get it behind us. Now, once I freed my brain from the mind drama that I was creating by trying to take on responsibility for things that were not my responsibility, I let it go. And I haven't given it another thought since then. They weren't in it for the long game, and that was totally fine. But you see, there's a different mindset when you're in things for the long game. We take our time, we plan it out, we stick to the plan regardless. Now, there are times when quick fixes make sense, like for my clients who wanted to put their house on the market immediately, no problem. But for most of us in our day-to-day lives, we have to be in it for the long game. We have to be there for the long-term gains. If you're always looking at things from a quick fix, you're going to constantly struggle with long-term gains. It's just how it is. I mean, there have been times, for instance, when I've been at the gym and my workout was just subpar. Maybe I was tired, or for whatever reason, my workout was not good. But that didn't stop me from showing up the next day to work out, because I know my long-term gains are more important than that one bad workout. Think about that the next time your workout isn't so great. Just tell yourself, I'm in it for the long game, and I know tomorrow will be better. Keep going. Same thing for nutrition. Now, I've been going to I know I talk about this a lot. I've been going to my sister's once a week. I was there this last week, and my mom is a wonderful cook, but she had made cinnamon rolls for breakfast, and her cinnamon rolls are out of this world yummy. She had almost a half a pan left over, just sitting there and staring at me. Now, I hadn't had lunch, and they had all had this big late breakfast, so no one was hungry but me. So we weren't going to lunch anytime soon. So you can probably guess what happened. Yeah, I ate a cinnamon roll. Now, I don't eat bread anymore, and I try not to eat butter and sugar, which those rolls were full of. But I ate it, and I enjoyed it. Now, my hands were itching like crazy later, but I still say it was worth it, and my functional doctor would be totally appalled. But my point is, I know one cinnamon roll isn't going to kill my goals, but continuing to eat like that the rest of the day might. So I didn't continue eating everything in sight, which is what the old me would have done. Normally I would have said, well, I've blown it, so I may as well eat whatever I want. No. Now my mindset is that I'm in it for the long game. So I got right back on my normal healthy eating plan. And the long game plan goes for relationships as well. When you know without a doubt your partner is your forever person, your mindset is very different than if divorce is an option. When you're in it for the long term, if you have an argument, you work it out. We all have bad days. Now, don't be staying in a toxic situation, but if your relationship is overall great, you don't throw in the towel when someone's going through a hard time. You work through it. When we know we're in it for the long game, our mindset is different. Little setbacks don't completely derail us. We get right back on our plan and we stick with it. We are human after all, right? So the long game actually changes your mindset. We would love instant gratification, but we know the long game's more important. So yeah, your workouts aren't always going to be amazing. Keep doing them anyway. And you're not always going to eat perfectly, but don't let one bad meal derail you for the day. And just because you have an argument with a friend or your partner, it doesn't mean the relationship is over. Work it out if it's worth it. That's the long game mindset. We live in a world today where instant gratification is king. But how is that working out for us? I would say not so good. If you look at it, 71% of Americans are overweight, 42% of them being obese. Almost 50% of marriages will end in divorce. We don't have to be part of that statistic if we decide that's not what we want. My challenge to you today is to adopt the long game mindset, especially with your exercise and nutrition, because that's something you're in complete control of. Your relationships involve another person, so it can be a little trickier. But they know if you're truly committed or if you have one foot out the door. So if you decide you're going to have that long game mindset, they'll feel it, and you will too, which could change everything. Share this with 3 friends that want to have that long game mindset. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.